communication. I speak my truth clearly and kindly. I strive for valid communication by tuning into others. In listening, I take the first step toward understanding and being understood. I speak my truth with compassion, always trying to respect the other person's position. My goal is for clarity and compassionate perspective, even if differences exist. I am persistent in the process of keeping the channels of communication open and clear. When difficulties arise, I am patient with myself and others, knowing that if I stay present, the appropriate words will be found to create understanding. So that's a big one. I feel like it's kind of the key on some levels to everything that we're striving for in our lives and that sort of thing. And one of the things I really appreciate is that your mouth and your ears are at about the same level. And so a lot of people think communication is all about expressing themselves. And that is indeed part of it, of course, but the other aspect is listening. And I think communication is a two-way street, right?
Two ways.
Apparently, or three or four. So yeah. Have you had any revelations about communication or things that have like awoken you to understanding how to make it better?
I like that line about my goal is for clarity and compassionate perspective, even if differences exist. I know that sometimes when people communicate, they want to be right.
They want to get their point across.
Yeah, but their point is like, I'm right, like what I say is I'm right and you're wrong. It's that duality, that thing like this, like I'm right. They want to be right when they say something. Where this line is more about gaining clarity and a perspective, sharing a perspective and being open to listen to another perspective. And that should go both ways. And even if people see things differently, that's okay.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you so much.
For me, there's always a concern about speaking my truth, that I won't hurt other people's feelings. And I had an interesting experience happen this week where I have a gardener, and she has a great fear of spiders, apparently, because she found this huge spider, in my rock wall, and she just freaked out and started yelling and screaming. And two young men who were helping nearby came rushing up, to save the day, and they killed the spider and just dragged it out into the street. And I was really upset. And I just kind of stood there, heartbroken, but silent. And then later on, I decided I needed to make it clear that I didn't want to have animals or insects killed on my property. So I didn't know how to do it without making her feel bad or making her wrong. So I have a studio assistant, and she was helping me. And so I said, okay, I told her when the gardener comes, I'm going to go out and talk to both of you, and I just want you to bear with me. It's going to sound a little weird. So so when they were together, I talked actually to the studio assistant rather than to the gardener, and telling her that, I really didn't want to have insects or animals killed on my property. And I said, like, for instance, if you found a rat, it's really more important than killing it to deal with the emotion involved that you have around rats. And so she was kind of prepared for me to talk to her, my studio assistant. And so I got the intention off of the gardener. I got the energy off the gardener so that she wasn't put on the spot. That's the challenge for me, is to find ways to speak my truth, but not cause harm, not cause the other person to feel defensive or wronged.
It sounds like your point is like you taking the time to be considerate and make sure that you're point gets across, but you don't want to hurt the person's feelings. And I think that's so important, in terms of how we communicate with each other, because you weren't trying to make her feel bad. In fact, that's often why we're so, maybe we don't say what we need to say. So we don't want the person to feel bad. Crystal clear communication, compassionate communication. I think those are the things we're all aiming for.